So they cut me off again. So when they're talking about have I ever, if this is a program based on in real time things happening, you can't use things after the fact. You cannot call people up and get stories. And they're upset that I made a point of telling you folks this repeatedly because that's how they were doing this to not just me, but other victims. You cannot do that because people's memory at the time is better than years later. At the time, I have information from almost everyone involved in this. I'm great. Thank you so much. You're my best friend. You're this, that. You can't years later, 30, 40 years later, change your story. It's not, it's first of all, it's not right. It's not the right thing to do, but it's illegal. If at the time the woman at the bus called the police when I hit her, which is something they don't know, I'm telling you folks, and the video shows it, someone just said, right, that would have been one thing. Waiting until I get a video of you so I have your image and then calling the police to just get it deleted but not saying I hit her is a different story. So if at the time, I'm not a lawyer, but you can ask anyone with common sense, you call the police and said, this woman hit me, then I would have had the police called on me. That's calling the police on me. And they even admitted, she gets up, she steps on my mother's foot. My mother's screaming. She leans over my mother because I'm inside the bus, like, what are you talking about? Pointing in my mother's face, and my mother's like, get off, stop. She's attacking me. People on the bus are like looking at her like, what's your problem? It wasn't until I pulled out a video to video her that she decides to call the police, but never mentions all of that other stuff. So they just said, well, why didn't you call the police? I did. That's the point. It wasn't until she's acting this way, my mother's screaming, she steps on my mother's foot, she's the person who did an act of violence, that I got the police report for it. And that's the difference. They're screaming. They said they wish it wasn't me. Why? Because I'm 51 years old and I have never had the police called on me. No one can ever say I acted out violently for them. And I'm still not. I'm disabled. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw me just doing the hair video that started this. If I could barely do a hair video, you really think I'm now starting fist fights with people at 51 and disabled? That was in 2019. So, I don't remember how old I was, but I was in my 40s. You really think a 40-year-old disabled person is like going around beating people up behind her? That's the issue. The issue is, if I'm doing the right thing, you wouldn't wait after the fact to say I'm doing the right thing. You would tell me I'm doing the right thing at the time, which they did. If I'm doing the wrong thing, you wouldn't wait after the fact to tell me I'm doing the wrong thing. You would tell me at the time. That's the basic issue here. So when they're talking about my vocabulary changing, my movements changing, I'm not acting out in violence, but they're recommending it. They upset I didn't look at a young woman approaching me. I try not to look at anyone because every time I look at someone, they start talking about the person. So it's uncomfortable for me. It's uncomfortable for the person. But as a native New Yorker, I don't like stare at people. I don't think that's a good idea. I want, as much of their negativity as there is, I sometimes want to tell you guys how it was when I was growing up. We would acknowledge people, but we don't stare. Partly why I think they